I just wanted to say one thing. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Sorry about the cutoffs and all that. Yeah, we cut off from Brian a bit, thanks to those leaf blowers. We're not gonna have a regular episode anytime soon, but we are having a little special where Brandon and I discuss not comedy, anime, and all that stuff with Lisa Wallen. You know, a comedian and a huge weeb, so that should be fun. I don't know when it'll be out, but I'm hoping for next week. But we'll see about that. Anyways, thanks for watching. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Hash Time for some Weirdos podcast. Today we got Brian Hanford on the podcast, and today's going to answer some questions for us. Okay, so for the first question, what has been your most unique role, or I should just say roles in general?
Definitely, I will always say V in Devil May Cry just because it was so physically demanding. The producers and director of it were extremely adamant that they wanted V to be a distinct character, not only in voice and style, but also in his physicality. And so they were very specific in each subsequent scene that he's getting weaker and weaker as though he's fading away. So that was super demanding in the actual volume when we were recording it. And so, that was just really cool and unique, and being able to be a character that is actually a part of a greater entity, and the human side of that was something I had never done before. Now, outside of Devil May Cry, I think one of the most fun and weirdest things that I've done has to be, that's hard. But one that sticks out immediately is being a Irish sailor in a remake of the horror film Nosferatu, and you get to see me transition from a healthy individual to a dying individual to a turned vampire, and just like this wild, intense scene where I get to do the full transition, full whack, and it's just like out of control. There's yelling and screaming and blood and guts and everything, and it's just a really cool thing to be a part of. I hadn't done anything like that before or since.
Yeah, regarding DMC5, I heard that was like a really big process. I heard there was like just a bunch of mocap stuff going on. Must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, Capcom is extremely good, as are a lot of companies, but Capcom specifically, at least in the companies I've worked for, is so intense about getting story correct. And part of that story is having the story being told as effectively as possible. So getting actors and voices that really bring these characters to life. And, you see from the cutscenes, they're making a film right alongside the game itself. So you have 3 weeks that just filming my bits, and then obviously Nero and Dante and Virgil, like all those guys, they had to do even longer. I'm pretty sure Johnny, Dan, and Ruben were there for over a month, and so every day, 12 hours of shooting, you get a whole lot of content out of that. And boy, did they! I think the cinematics only are somewhere near 4 hours. It's pretty wild, but it was amazing. Talk about one of the best experiences you could ever have, working with pros like those guys, and as well Faye and excuse me, Agnes. It was just like, fantastic experience. And the entire Capcom team over in Japan and out here in LA, it's just been a remarkable experience.
Yeah, Capcom really went all out with DMC5. Like, the others demanded a lot as well, but DMC5 was just completely different. And it was for the best, too. If I had to say...
I totally agree. But if you think about it, they had to. They had to push the boat out because they're rebooting a franchise that, has been gone for 10 years. They put out that kind of, side remake that was not well received. So they had to really make sure that this was going to be out there, and really make sure that it was going to be unique and different, and something that true DMC fans would appreciate, whilst also being something they hadn't seen before.
Yeah, I feel like DMC5 appealed to both fans of the Devil May Cry reboot and the previous games.
was more similar to DMC, and it actually looked really great. I'd say it's probably the best DMC has looked. But yeah, Capcom definitely set everyone's expectations high, and they definitely did it well.
Yeah, I mean, as a person who, in the subsequent months since it came out, now it's been over a year, it is very apparent that for the majority of fans, they liked it, and that Capcom did them right and took their time and made it so that they weren't just putting out, number 5 for people to enjoy and capitalize on a franchise that's already established. They were putting out something that they were proud of individually. It didn't have to be part of the rest of the story. It was just something that they were really excited about, and you could totally see it. I mean, the entire team over there in Japan and the creators, like, oh my goodness, they were so pumped to be filming and to be all together, and yeah, they were excited about it.
All right, next question. But I'd say you already answered that, but I'm gonna try to give a different response here, if that's possible. What was the process of working on Devil May Cry 5 in general, or should I say, like, the aftermath of it?
It was, a pretty standard process from my perspective in terms of, auditioning for the role, then getting called back and called back again, and then finally getting the phone call of, hey, we want you to play this character in this franchise. And they kept it extremely secretive up until they told me who I was. I literally had no idea what game it was for. I had no idea the character. And then one of the LA team called me and was like, hey, this is what it was you are auditioning for, and this is the character. And I was just beside myself, so excited. And sure enough, a few weeks, I think it might have been actually a couple, maybe a month or two later, I meet the guys in Johnny and Dan and Ruben, and we did a table read, and it was really cool because I got to see, some of their reactions to seeing what the story was, because they hadn't been told what the story was going to be. So getting to read through the script all together was really fun, and being part of that. And then we were over in Japan. I was there for 3 weeks. We filmed every day. Came back a few months later, started doing the voice, did that for a couple months, and then the rest of the editing took a couple years. And since it's come out, obviously it's been really whirlwind of a time in terms of getting to meet and really delve into the Devil May Cry fandom, and being friends with Johnny and Dan and Ruben and Faye and Agnes is really cool as well, because a lot of us still hang out and we get to talk about it and reminisce, but also do, fan events together and things like that. So it's been, a pretty, for me, an awesome process.
Yeah, like, I could tell, like, DMC means a lot to most of the cast. And,
yes. Yeah. It's been, I gotta say, that was another thing about the process and the experience, is getting kind of brought on by those three, and them working with both myself and Faye and Agnes. It was just fantastic to have them there because they know the characters so well, they know the world so well, and they really helped us if we had any questions, and they were always there to, kind of show us the ropes when and if we needed. And they were also very open and upfront about saying, hey, like, this is your character and your opportunity to really bring what you think this character needs to the table. And so that's kind of what we all did, and I think it worked out for the best. But yeah, I mean, they were instrumental in making it as good as it was, especially for the rest of us in the cast.
So you said you were working on this game for a few years, right? If I may ask, when did you get cast as V?
The first time was, like, the first audition was in 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a while before the game was even... Most of the time I hear about voiceover being done last and all that, but it seems like Capcom really prepared that in advance.
The voiceover was done the following year, but the first audition was in 2016. Okay. I filmed in 2016, and then the voiceover was done the following year.
Okay, cool to know. Next question. Let me just pull it up. What is one of your dream projects? You probably get asked this a lot, but I have a tendency to ask this.
One of my dream projects. Well, I guess that's, for me, a two-part question, because there's a dream project in terms of something I'd already like, something that exists in the world that I would like to work on that someone else invented, and then there's the dream project that I create. I'd say for myself, it's creating a TV show and being able to work on it and be in it for its entire run. I think the idea of creating something for the television medium is so awesome because you have so much time to develop the character. It's not just 90 minutes, it's over seasons and episodes and years. And I think that's really cool and exciting. And to get to work so closely with all the people on it and be part of the creating team as well as that talent for acting, that would be my dream. But in terms of an established project, like something that I really would love, I would love to be part of, man, I hate saying this because I genuinely feel like it's, not going to, I think we're not petering out of it. It's going to continue, but it's already been done. But like being part of one of the darker Marvel franchises, I think is just a really exciting idea. In fact, most of the DC comics as well, but like I'd love to be part of a franchise like Spawn. When I was growing up, I thought that was such a sick comic series, and I used to be like super intense upon reading it. Just being able to work with established IP where the fandom is so great, but also because of that, the film and or TV series that gets made, they're listening to the fans. Because with things, and I don't in any way mean any negativity towards it, but like with things like Superman or Iron Man, it's like it's such a big general superhero character that they can kind of make it how they want. Whereas with some of the more specific characters, i.e. Deadpool, it's like you have really only people that really like Deadpool would watch that, at least in the initial stages. And then you throw Ryan Reynolds into it, but like they made Deadpool exactly how it feels in the comics, like gritty and raunchy and brash. And so getting into a franchise like that would be so sick because then you get to play around so much more, like I love the idea of Suicide Squad. I wasn't a big fan of the movie, unfortunately, but like being part of that franchise, if it really took off and they leaned into like the dark and messed up and funny but awful nature that it really is, like the Watchmen, that the original film they made, I thought was pretty dope. Like, yeah, I think that would be it.
I mean, hey, with Suicide Squad with James Gunn helming it, I don't think we got anything to worry about.
Yeah, let's hope so. I don't know. Zack Snyder, he's an interesting guy. He's so hyper visual that it's like sometimes I feel like, you forgot about the story because you were trying to make it look so cool.
Next question. Trying to figure out how to word this one. Okay. Is there anything like specific? This is a pretty cool fan question, but is there anything else you'd like to work with Capcom on any of their franchises, anything like that?
Well, I mean, and again, I have to preface this by saying I worked with Capcom on Devil May Cry, and that's the only thing I've ever worked with Capcom on. Not been in touch with them or have any insider knowledge, but one of my favorite games of all time is Marvel vs. Capcom or Capcom Verse. So like being able to work on that is like, man, I'm dying for them to put V or at least some of the DMC characters into that because that'd be so unbelievable. But also I'm a huge Street Fighter fan, and I think it'd be super sick if they made like a really awesome narrative Street Fighter series, but a game, I think that would be epic, and I would love to be part of that, whether it's animated and I'm part of the mocap team or doing a voice for it or whatever it may be. Street Fighter, oh man, I just love those classic. Capcom was probably, the first game company that I really identified with as like, I want to play their games because, back in the day with arcades and quarters and button smashing, those were the games you played.
Speaking of being a fan of Capcom's projects, you've played all the other Devil May Cry games, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
have to be that narcissistic. Come on.
Hey, at least people won't take this answer as a leak.
Yeah, true. That is correct. But no, once I played 4 back in college a fair amount because one of my roommates was super into it. And then once I found out I was in it, I obviously went back and played, you know, all of them because I bought the bundle for it. And I gotta say, I was terrible, terrible playing as Dante in the latest installment. But yeah, no, I 3 is probably my favorite, if I'm honest.
Yeah, 3.
Excluding 5. You cannot count 5 because I'm totally biased.
Yeah, I mean, 5 is my personal favorite, but 3 is like the classic. All right, like it
Yeah.
established a lot of the characters we know and love today. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about DMC 1 and 2. Those games are pretty good. I actually like 2, unlike most people. But 3 just kind of established the characters we know and love, and that's where we got all the other actors in it. You know, like Ruben and Dan.
Exactly.
So if it hasn't already been asked, what would you say your favorite experience was working on Devil May Cry 5?
Let's see. My favorite experience was kind of an ongoing experience, but not, I think now I've said this everywhere because it is my favorite memory of it, but Dan actually did the motion capture for Griffin. And there was actually motion capture for Griffin. And Dan, no joke, had to flap his wings all around the, studio. Like he was doing the flapping the entire time, doing his Griffin voice, like, well, you know what, V? Like, hilarious. And he had to keep it up the whole time, straight face, no jokes whatsoever. And he had to do it for every Griffin scene. And it was probably my favorite memory because Dan's the, big, strong guy, and Virgil is such an intense character, and Urizen, who Dan also played, is so intense and like this giant demon. And then there he is with his arms tight against his chest, flapping around like a little bird and going like, oh, what do you think, V? Oh my God. And yeah, I mean, we were just dying laughing. The first time he did it, like, I think the whole crew and cast had to stop for about 5 minutes just to laugh.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I would lose my shit too if I saw someone mocapping a bird.
Yeah, I mean, I wish
Sounds like a fun
we could get our hands on. Yeah, I wish we could get our hands on some of the video from it because we filmed everything obviously as well on cameras, and just there's got to be one somewhere of Dan flapping around like a freaking chicken and just yelling at me from across the stage.
I mean, we did kind of see a glimpse of that with the live action cutscenes thing in DMC 5. It wasn't really the mocap, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, I guess we'll go to the next question. What would you say your most difficult performance has been? I think this is just in general.
Ooh. Well, okay, excluding Devil May Cry, I would think my most difficult performance. That's a good question. Well, I was in a play actually called Dead Man's Cell Phone, and I played a character that was, my brother had just died, but my brother was the confident and cocky and cool and awesome guy, whereas I was this really introverted, nerdy kind of beta guy. And I had to play, this guy is terrified of everything in his life because he just doesn't believe in himself at all, and he's so meek and quiet, and it's just kind of the opposite of who I am as a person, and what I think and how I am with my friends and with my professional life. So to be able to kind of really embody someone who was so opposite to my own persona, was very difficult. But actually, in the end, it was a great experience because working really hard and every day on doing that kind of made me appreciate that I have a lot more of that in myself than I thought. I think everyone has at one point or another self-confidence issues, so to kind of make that at the forefront of your personality rather than deep back there hidden away from everyone was really interesting, and it was very difficult, but in the end it was really good and got great reviews, and people seem to really enjoy it. So but that was definitely one of the harder things I've done, is really just flipping my own personality on its head and, being very meek and contained because I'm quite a boisterous and wild type of person.
All right.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
That makes sense, yeah. What's been your favorite ADR experience? I think that's right.
Ooh.
Well, I did a whole lot of ADR for this. I guess there's like 3 sections of that. So there's, just straight up VO. And I would say my favorite, again, V, just because it's such an awesome character. But if not V, I would say my favorite project that I've been a part of solely as a voice is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That is just, I love the anime already. Just wild and out there. Kind of like, the comic series that I'd love to be a part of. It is a horse of another color and dark and weird and creepy, and I love it. And the character that I play in it, Malone, and his stand are just like the worst, creepiest human beings on the planet. And the best thing about being a creep or a villain in a movie or anime or whatever is that there are no rules. You get to go as far as you want and play and be weird, and I love doing that. So that's definitely my favorite solely VO voice that I've done. But if I had to say another project, I did the English dub for a French film that was about embracing kind of what is essentially a guy becomes a sex therapist in order to meet women, and then it backfires on him, and you can imagine it doesn't go very well. Getting to do the American voice of the main character was so interesting because the movie is just so wild and out there, and it's like literally about this guy who decides to become a psychoanalyst to meet women, and then it all goes to crap because he's meeting psychos and sleeping with them.
Oof.
So you're familiar with the JoJo series, like before you voiced Malone?
Yeah, so JoJo's been on my radar for a while because one, it's a very unique and out there anime, but also because I try to watch a lot of anime, one, because I love it, but also because I'm really, involved with and love doing voiceover in the anime space. So I watch a lot of it, and JoJo is one of the top 5 animations of the last 3 years or 5 years, or forget what exact amount of years it was. So I made sure to watch it, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy awesome. And then of course I get cast in it, and I was like, yes, but I couldn't tell anyone for ages. So that's one of the hardest parts, is like just sitting on it. Like, I really want to tell you this awesome thing.
Sitting there antsy, like, ooh, wonder who that is.
Yeah, like, well, I'm not like the biggest anime fan out there. JoJo's definitely something special.
Some crossover there for sure, and his stand is like one of my favorite things of all time. Like, he's just so, oh my God, just
man, Malone is just
so fun.
Yep,
I love Malone.
He's such a creep.
Did a pretty good job playing him.
Random question, because I think this would be interesting. What are some of your favorite anime that you're not in?
Ooh, yeah, absolutely. So number one, I've said it for the last 20 years, no joke. No, longer than 20 years, for the last 23 years. My favorite anime of all time, will never be surpassed by anything else, is Sailor Moon.
It's a classic.
I don't know why,
That's a classic.
but it was the first one I ever saw, and I had the biggest crush on Serena. I went as Tuxedo Mask for 3 Halloweens in a row. I just was obsessed with it and watched every episode. I'd run home from school every single day to watch it at 4 o'clock, and then Dragon Ball Z at 4:30. So I would say that is, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite time, followed by Dragon Ball Z, right there behind it. But of more modern ones, I'm really into JoJo's. Like, I'm really starting to get into that, but also Attack on Titan. I think that's pretty sweet. But I'm also a little biased because I watch a lot of anime that I have friends doing voices in, so I'll like get into them because I'm hearing them. Like, I love Bleach, and Johnny's in Bleach, and it's just like, ooh, every time I hear him, I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So
That's our
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, like
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
has done a lot of voice work. He's been in like every time I watch just like an anime, I hear him like 50% of the time.
Yeah, no, he is
He's
he
good at what
is
he does.
ridiculous in terms of he has done so many massive projects as a voice actor. It's wild. Like you look at all the things he's been in and you're like you feel like people would get tired of him, but no. I mean, every character is different. Everyone has a different flavor to him. It's just he's remarkable at what he does, and so I'm all for it. Hey, I'm watching his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. What's work been like under the COVID-19 situation?
Oof. Well, as you can imagine, I'm not going into the studio very much. I was lucky enough to get, and this is one of those, sorry, I can't say, wish I could say things, but I was lucky enough that right before this all stopped completely, like, no one going into studios anywhere, I recorded my character in a pretty awesome project and finished up another character in another project like literally days before they said don't go out. But it's actually been all right because I do a lot of writing for TV and film, so
Oh, really?
that I can do on my computer, and so jobs have been coming in a heck of a lot slower, unfortunately, but they are coming in, and luckily I can keep myself pretty darn busy with writing related things. But yeah, it's been a definite slower pace since nobody can go into studios and nobody.
I think he cut it completely.
Yeah.
He cut out completely there.
Oh, my bad.
It's all good. It's probably my
weird.
Wi-Fi.
No, I
It
didn't
works
hear
when
him.
it
It cut
doesn't-
out for me too.
No, it's probably because I walked south and I'm trying to get away from. I swear to God, these leaf blowers are following me, so I'm trying to get away from them.
The leaf
I'm like,
blower's
"Stop,
dangerous, man. You gotta get it.
That's crazy.
You gotta get away from them.
They want
I'm
revenge.
trying real hard. They're attacking me. But no, okay. So to answer your question, yes, work is slowed. Luckily, I got done some pretty big projects right before it happened. And since then, almost all of my work has been in the writing space. But luckily, that's, one of the main things that I do anyway. So, I've been able to keep that going, but it's definitely hard because everybody is limiting the amount of things they're producing.
I got another question for you. It's a little basic, but I think it's a fun question. What are some of your
Great.
all-time favorite video games?
Okay, so excluding the Capcom ones we already discussed,
Yeah.
I'm a big sports video game person, so I play a lot of FIFA and Madden and NHL just because I compete in those. But in terms of like fun, absolutely love them. We'll never stop playing them. Super Smash Bros. I've logged so many thousands of hours playing that game. It's ridiculous.
Oh, Smash. It's great.
Yeah,
I
that
can't
is-
blame you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of the absolute best. I love Final Fantasy.
You played the 7 remake yet?
You know what? I have, and
Really?
I'm into it. Say what you will, I'm into it. Jet Grind Radio back in the day on Dreamcast. Oh man, I'm one of the few people I feel like in the world who ever had a Dreamcast.
I've always wanted to have one, but
Jet Set Radio is a classic. I can't blame
I
you.
really want to play that game.
Jet Grind Radio, yeah.
It's got good music too.
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of classic games. Like, I never wanted to give up my N64 or Super Nintendo. So, like, playing the original Mario, Kart, and Super Smash Bros. I just really love those games, and like Wave Runner 64. And then finally, I had to just say, you know what? I'm over it. I can't help but upgrade because I'm so obsessed with Grand Theft Auto, and I've logged too many hours, I think, playing video games, but luckily it's helped shape my career path, so I can't
It
complain.
paid off.
Hey, I can't blame you. Video games are addictive.
They're
I got
amazing.
this game a
One of
few
the-
weeks ago and I put 100 hours in it in like 2 weeks. It's insane what video
Good
games can
lord.
do to you.
Yeah, it's weird when it's part of your job as well, because like I literally work for a gaming news network, and so now like a lot of video games that I play, I do because I'm either reviewing them or whatever. Right now, I'm doing a charity event this weekend, and it's a Fortnite charity event, and I don't really like Fortnite. Like, it's not my favorite game, and yet I've played, I think, maybe 30 hours in the past couple days just practicing for it, and it's like, what a weird idea to spend 30 hours playing a game you don't even really like just because it's a big, popular, good game.
So the last one is, and I always ask this near the end, what has been some of the major highlights of your career? We already know being one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I would say, like, no joke, Devil May Cry. I would be hard pressed to like actually order them. Like, oh, this is number one, this is number two, but Devil May Cry is right up there towards the top. Let's see, what else? Also, like, I don't know. I'm always nervous to meet my heroes because, what if they do turn out to be like kind of rude or something like that? But getting to meet, I got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and work with him, and like that was cool because he's always been like a really big, like, icon of mine. Getting to meet some of the people that I've met is like an absolute highlight of, my career because just of the nature of I am a fanboy at heart, and so getting to kind of see some of those people, and more often than not, they're awesome and just wonderful to be around, and so appreciative that it makes you be like, oh, good, I'm so happy that you are as big as you are because you're a nice person. So I like that. Another highlight, like in terms of work, is getting to write for television where it's actually produced, and seeing things that you can watch on TV and be like, oh yeah, that was me. Let's see, what's like a big highlight though? Ooh, that's a hard one, man. I just like it all, but without evading the question, let's see. You know what was a highlight of my career? This is such a weird one. I was in an episode of this TV show, and the TV episode was so successful that it was dubbed into 4 different languages. And that's cool because at least 4 different countries have seen this episode that I was the lead in. And I've watched it in 2 different languages now, and it's hilarious to see, my mouth moving, but you hear this very swarthy Spanish voice. It was cool to be in something that people thought was worth spending money to have someone speak it over in another language so more people could watch it. And that has never happened to me until now.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Seems
stuff
great.
like that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I can't blame you.
So I got one more for you actually that is entirely Devil May Cry related, so that was cool. I was in a GameStop, like a video game store, and as I was buying this new controller, the woman behind the counter was like, "Are you V?" And she recognized me because of my voice. I did a little vid. We did a selfie video of like doing V stuff, but it was just like that's the only time in my life that's ever happened. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, being recognized, especially from voiceover, is pretty cool,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a rare occurrence, I'll tell you that much.
It doesn't get as much love as it should when it comes to recognition. It's not even a word. Blah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it seems like DMC definitely like did a lot for you, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just such a passionate fan base, like it's like me with, some of the things that I like. Not everybody may know that person, but because I love it, I do. And that's what matters to me. And that's one of the best things about doing cons and events and stuff like that is getting to meet the people that actually share in something that I think is so awesome and got to work on. They loved playing it, or they've been a fan of the franchise for years, and so I'm just like so thankful to be a part of that now.
Yeah, I mean, DMC, it's just like blown up, so I totally get it. Like before 5, I want to say it was a little smaller, not really niche, but not like a multi-million seller. But now
Yeah.
I hear the game sold over 3 million copies, and for DMC, that's huge.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely.
And like, it's really cool to see how DMC is like truly back, you know, because the DMC games really do mean a lot to me, you know. Anyways, I think that's it. Thank you for coming on, Brian. Getting to talk to you is pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me on.